All right, I think we're ready to rock and roll.
Awesome.
And a good afternoon or a good morning or maybe a good evening, wherever you are in this beautiful day. Welcome to our live stream here today. It's a pleasure to be your co-host. My name is Bari Azman. I'm the founding partner of the Low Vision Shop, and I am accompanied by.
I'm Brian McCollum, the Chief Commercial Officer at eSight.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope everyone is staying healthy. First and foremost, everyone is staying healthy. And we are excited to take a deep dive into the new eSight 4 and go through the device and really explore the various opportunities that the device is and its capabilities that it can provide. So before we get started, I just want to mention that while some individuals have already submitted questions in advance, we will do our best to take questions at the end or maybe in between at various intervals. And if you have a specific question, feel free to enter it into the Q&A and we will be monitoring it and we will do our best to answer the questions. So again, hope everyone is doing well. It's a great honor to be here with you today with Brian. Thank you so much for coming in. As you can see, we are wearing masks. We look like bandits here behind the microphone. And, this is the way it is. But hopefully on our next one, we will be maskless.
Thanks for having us, Barry. We're
No.
really excited about today.
It's our greatest pleasure. And I just want to thank the entire eSight team for working closely with the Low Vision Shop, putting this together and bringing us, to this occasion here. So we're super excited. So, as we've been preparing for this webinar, it's sort of, I went back into our archives, if you want to say, right? It opened up a lot of memories and good memories as far as with eSight. So many of you out there may already know eSight is a household name. At least I think it is, right? And I really do believe within the sight loss community, eSight is a household name. And I think that really dates back to the initial launch period of 2014, somewhere around there. That was when I was just getting my feet wet in the sight loss community. And I remember this, I could clearly remember the day when my brother, Steven, introduced me to eSight. He's like, Barry, I think you should go ahead and check out this device. It looks really cool, really, really futuristic. So lo and behold, we finally get in contact with eSight. And we ultimately planned this incredible event locally here in Baltimore. We had the local NBC station on hand, and it was just an incredible event. And, it really, it shows where eSight was and where eSight is today. And so, as I was saying, I went back into my archives and, we had created, if you guys can see this, I'm going to pull this up here. We had this really, again, it was an incredible event. It was the first eSight demonstration here in the Northeast. We had the device on hand. We had the patient we had on hand. Her name was Brianna. And, everyone wore this. We had the media on hand. It was really an incredible event. And we did quite a bit with eSight back in the day. As you can see here from this calendar from 2016, there is Brianna wearing the original eSight glasses. So super excited to be here and to really come full circle from where things started with our relationship with eSight. And, it's been quite remarkable since, 2015, 5+ years in the making. And, here we are today with eSight 4. So Brian, really grateful to have you here. And let's go ahead and, start going into the device itself. And we're going to do our best to explain everything to you out there, to the audience. We're going to do our best to explain everything. And if you have questions, please let us know. We will do our best to answer them. And, we're here to provide information and to share with you what is capable. Because a lot of people today, I think one of the biggest, issues that we all face from our side and from you, the general public, is lack of information, right? We talk about this during our conversations. People just are not aware of what's available today to help improve, sight loss. And I think it's important that we continue on this mission to advocate because, this is in a very important, you guys are very important. And we want to make sure that we, both from the low vision shop and eSight, we're doing everything possible to bring the latest and greatest technology to you, so it will improve quality of life. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Creating greater level of independence and being able to improve quality of life. So let's go ahead and bring out a device. And I just want to also, before we go in, we are also accompanied by Rosa, who is an actual eSight wearer, and we're going to bring her on shortly as well. So you're going to be able to hear firsthand from Rosa, her experiences and all that. So I want to let everyone know that we have Rosa on hand, and I'm looking forward to hearing from Rosa also. So let's talk about eSight, how it works. So again, eSight's come a long way. The overall form factor, the actual technology, everything about it, everything about the device has really, significantly changed. So I'm going to hold it up here for a second.
Sure.
I always love, holding this, and it's, it's quite light. I can hold it here with my, with one finger. So let's go ahead and go through and walk everyone through the actual headset.
Sure. Well, let me just add a little bit, Barry, to what you said. One, thank you so much for having us today.
Very welcome.
But two, technology is advancing, right? And so the technology that eSight was at the forefront 5, 6, 7 years ago, was based upon the limitations that technology was at the time.
Right.
And so what you see today in front of you is eSight 4. So not only did eSight create a technology that is a head-mounted device, it uses a camera system. It takes an image, brings it to 2 screens inside the headset itself, but we were able to continue to enhance the technology. If you remember, that first device was pretty bulky.
It was.
It had a wire coming off
Yes.
of it. As you can see today, this is 100% wireless. We have been able to create a device around a couple of different things. One, comfort level, because if we're asking someone to wear this throughout their day, it has to be comfortable. It can't be a burden for them to wear. And second of all was around mobility. As you can see, this is a 100% wireless. It has a Bluetooth type remote. It has the ability to have interchangeable batteries. So I'm just going to pop this battery out right here. As you guys can see, I can move it around. It tells me how much it's charged. I can grab another battery. I can pop it right back in, and the device never goes off.
I think that's truly a remarkable piece of technology where the device just doesn't go off. Okay, obviously, if you're going to sit there for a few hours without the battery inside there, you may run into some problems.
That's right.
But for example, if you are in the middle of a task and your battery is running low and you have one ready to go, charged, ready to go, you can pop it out and you will not have any interruptions. You just put that next to the charged battery back in and you're continuing on. So it's a great piece of technology that's been added to the device.
Yeah, so you get about 2.5 to 2 to 3 hours of time from the battery itself. So if you have 2 to 3 batteries, you can pretty much go in all day. It does have the ability to have an input here. So if you're working at your computer screen, you can actually just have it plugged up. You don't even have to run off battery. And there's also an HDMI input.
Oh, nice.
So the computer, we could actually take your computer, we could hook it in, and whatever being projected on your screen comes right into the glasses.
So again, I want to that's a very important piece of information. Being able with an HDMI input to be able to connect to a computer, right?
Correct.
Or maybe even a TV also.
Absolutely.
You can connect right to the device and input whatever is streaming into the headset or whatever's on your desktop right into the headset. I think that's something a very important piece of information because there aren't too many devices out there that can actually perform that kind of task. So really incredible.
So I speak of, the technology, batteries are getting smaller,
right?
The power. So, 5 years ago, a battery this size to run something like this just didn't exist.
Right.
And so we've got a really good team of design engineers that are developing what we call not only the hardware or the software piece, which a lot of companies do. They take a device, they take their software, they onboard it to a system, and they use it for low vision. We've created our 4 versions, hardware as well as software. And so, as you know, hardware development is hard.
It's it's not an easy task. And I don't even want to know, but I'm sure we're talking about tens of millions of dollars that have gone into the development of eSight over the years. I'm sure it's an astronomical number. People, we get a lot of questions, about performing certain tasks and doing, various different things. And, it just amazes me that, people don't understand what goes into developing technology. It's not something that just happens overnight. It takes a lot of time. and a lot of resources. So I give a lot of credit to eSight for sticking to the mission as far as, the dedication that goes in, again, from where things started, where things are today, and where things are going in the future. It is so important, and we're very grateful to have partners like eSight that are really committed to the sight loss community. So again, if anyone has any specific questions, we're going to take a look at them as we continue to go on, and we do have some questions that are already submitted. But Brian, I want to ask you, I know, but let's share with the audience today, right? Who is the primary candidate? Who is going to be the optimal user for an eSight device?
So there's a couple of different things we look at. Obviously, conditions that are more around central vision loss. So that macular degeneration patient, that Stargardt patient, which is a juvenile form of macular degeneration, diabetic retinopathy, even retinitis pigmentosa. So there's about 20 or so conditions that we find we have some level of success. Obviously, some higher than others.
Right.
With the Stargardt's patients, we're probably 8 out of 10 we can help. The typical acuities that we see are anywhere from, say, 20/60 up to, say, 20/400. Even though 400 is starting to get on that edge of, okay, is it really right for them? We have a lot of users that are in that 20/400 range. We actually even have some users that go up to 20/1200. So it really depends on your unique specific disorder or condition at the current time.
Right. And I think that goes with everything. Everyone has specific desires, specific tasks, specific goals that they're looking to accomplish on a daily basis. And, everyone knows out there that sight loss comes in all different shades. There's, we have individuals that will come in who may have macular or Stargardt's, right, or another sight loss condition. And what may be good for them may not be good for someone else. And so there are so many variations. And what I love about eSight is that it caters to a very wide spectrum of sight loss conditions. And because of the powerful magnification, by the way, 24x.
24x.
I mean, which is incredible. And by the way, speaking of increasing magnification, one of the things that I really like what was added to the device is that you have here on the right-hand side of the headset, you have these dots, these like bump dots, and they guide you to the touchpad that's along here on the right-hand side of the temple. So, if you're not sure where that touchpad is, all you have to do is slide your finger here on the right-hand side, and it will lead you to the touchpad where you can control the device.
Yeah, and that's really important. That's definitely a change that we made. Not only do we have an external remote, we've got the ability to control the headset. Can you imagine that if you've got someone working at a fast food restaurant or at a Home Depot or something, to where you really have to use your hands to do other things?
Right.
They can't just carry around a remote all the time, and so maybe they do need a little more magnification. They just reach up and do it. Maybe they need a little more contrast. They just reach up and do it. So to us, that was some of the user feedback that we got that said, hey, we really need to be able to control this device on the device itself,
right,
and not just a remote that's say tethered to a wire, which is what the previous.
Yeah, and I think everyone, I want to focus on the word mobility, being able to be fully mobile with a low vision aid device, and especially a wearable technology. Again, when an individual is wearing the device, what's unique about eSight, you have the ability to lift up the actual headset, the actual visor, right? If you want to, is that what we want to call it?
Yeah, that's right. This is the visor, and what in the part you're referring to is the bioptic tilt. So that was a key thing that's been in eSight since the beginning, and the ability really to tilt that out of your way. It also allows, we're dealing with central vision loss conditions, and a lot of people still have good peripheral vision, and so they're able to actually move around. You talked about mobility. If you think about that full immersive, product that is out there, they have to take it on and off to be able to go somewhere. So
correct.
We wanted to make it, we wanted to continue and carry that forward. And that's what we call the bioptic tilt that we find people like if they want to remain mobile.
Yeah. And we've seen a lot of users really appreciate that, and being able to, again, to maneuver around, whether it's in the kitchen, whether it's in a school environment, wherever you may be, that gives you that extra freedom. So I really like that. Let's talk about, clinical research as far as, results out there, and,
Sure.
and as far as what eSight is doing and to, to sort of to validate everything that's going on here in this headset.
Sure. So this is a class 1 device. So it means it's registered with the FDA. There's no approval process, but it's registered. Our facility in Ottawa goes through all the requirements to be an FDA approved facility, subject to inspections and things like that. But that's more on the regulatory side. If you think about the efficacy of the product,
Right.
The company back in 2018 had an article published in the Journal of Optometry and Science. We had six sites, including the John Hopkins of the world, the Boston Palmers, the Kellogg Institute. So some really big hitters in the space. We had a little over 50 patients. And what we saw with the outcome of that, the outcome metrics were 7 lines of visual acuity improvement, 12-letter contrast improvement, 100% mobility retention, which is big for us.
That is
and
huge.
Significant improvement in facial recognition. So the things you think about, what someone's trying to get from device, we actually went and proved it in a randomized or a multi-site study that has actually been peer reviewed. So we're very happy about that. It was eSight 3 that went through that, because this product just came out in 2020, but the same bioptic tilt,
right,
the same camera to lens concept, taking the algorithms on board the computer or on board the headset and making it fill in the gaps, so to speak. Those are the same types of things that we've been able to bring forward in this device.
Yeah, no, that's great. And, being able to incorporate everything into this device and to, get that, stamp of approval, if you want to call it, from the, ophthalmic community is really important. And it the proof's in the pudding, right? It's, it continues to lead the way. eSight continues to lead the way in being a device as far as, helping individuals that with sight loss. So I think we should, are there any, by the way, before I go on and introduce Rosa, who's patiently waiting for us, let's talk about some of the other options, maybe, as far as, being able to connect to a mobile device. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think that will hit right where Rosa wants to go. So
perfect.
Maybe Rosa, we'll turn it over to you, and you take us through kind of the mobility around our mobile app and how that works.
Perfect. So Rosa, it's a pleasure to have you join us here virtually. We wish you were here with us here in Baltimore. Again, hopefully for the next one. But Rosa is an eSight wearer, and we're going to let Rosa share her experiences and how she utilizes eSight on a daily basis, what her go-to task is, what her favorites are. And, it's all yours, Rosa.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I was introduced to eSight in 2017 as an eSight 3 model, as Brian mentioned we had before. And then I became an eSight coach in 2018. So I've used the device for over 3 years, and I've assisted a couple hundred patients in learning how to use the device. I can speak to quite a few things. I'm not exactly sure specifically, but the mobility aspect that you guys touched on has been a huge aspect for me. And that was actually why I chose eSight over some of the other devices that I tested. So like you were mentioning, the bioptic tilt, being able to bring the visor down when I need it, and then bringing it up completely out of the way if I don't need it. Or a lot of times what I do is I have a half tilt, or I can have it mounted just above my eye line. I can look under if I'm, say, writing or doing something up close, but then I can look out if I need to see something like a whiteboard in a classroom, which is often how I use it, because my deficiencies are nearsightedness. So I can see here, but I can't see that up there. So in a classroom environment when I was in college, I would need assistance seeing the board and the teacher, but then I needed to be able to see my paper to write notes. So the ability to have such diversity in how you can apply it and how each person can adjust it to their needs is huge. You guys touched on the HDMI app. We also have the eSight app, which is available.
So Rosa is holding up her smartphone, which has the eSight app on it.
Yep. And so it's available on iOS and Android phones. And with the eSight app, if you guys can maybe see it, I'm not sure. There's
so I'll read it down. So when you open up the app, there's 3 main things on the screen. It's called eCast, eMirror, and Gallery.
Correct. And then you also have the ability to do eShare and share access. And you have the ability to do an electronic remote.
I happen to love that electronic remote. It's pretty cool, especially
Yeah.
when doing demonstrations. Can we go back and do you use those various functions as far as the e-mirror, the e-share, and all that? Can
Yeah.
you? I want individuals out there to hear your more about your experiences and how you utilize it and what you do with those various features.
Well, with the e-mirror is where you can stream what's on your device on your phone onto your Halo, similar to like using HDMI. So if I have text messages or emails or things on my phone that I can't see on my phone, I can mirror them onto my Halo and be able to see them on my Halo. In reverse, eShare is where I can stream what I'm seeing onto the phone. So if I'm in an environment, like if I'm at a baseball game and I'm with my husband, he can have my phone and he can be seeing what I'm looking at and he can be giving me direction. Oh, look towards third base or look towards first base. And he can see if I'm in range of what he's trying to direct me to.
That's
So
really
it's
cool,
pretty
actually.
cool.
That
Yeah.
is really cool. That is really cool to be able to direct someone because, we're always telling, okay, look a little to the right, look a little to the left, but to know
What
where
they're
you
looking
are
at.
focusing
Yeah.
on is truly, it's incredible.
Yeah, and share access is a way for someone to do that in a remote setting. So you can send an invitation to a family caregiver that is not in the same location as the eSight wearer, and that family or caregiver can see through your visor. So if you have like an elderly parent that lives alone, but they need help looking at something, they can send you an invitation for shared access. You can log into their unit, and if they're holding a medicine bottle or something, you can see what they're holding and tell them if it's okay or not okay or what to do.
That, by the way, I want to say that concept of being able to share your screen or share your eSight with a friend or family member is so significant because
Mm-hmm.
there are many individuals out there, and we encourage everyone to be as independent as they can, and everyone wants their independence. But if you need that a little extra help, or you want to be 100% certain, excuse me, being able to share your eSight, your site with someone else it can go a long way.
Yes.
And every device out there has all these bells and whistles. This was one of the bells and whistles that I always wanted and dreamed of. So
Yep.
it's nice to know that eSight has incorporated this into the eSight 4, and it allows individuals to share their experience. And
Yep.
again, there are so many ways that can be utilized.
Yes. And like I said, with an elderly parent, even with a child, a lot of times my patients that I'm helping are helping a young child or a, a person who's teaching a child. So if you're in school, your teacher can be watching what the student is doing and helping them guide them to where they need to be looking or doing things. So, I mean, there's multitude of ways that it can be used.
Right. Besides, a Blue Jays game, because we're in Baltimore territory here, let's go O's. Hopefully, we'll have a baseball season this year.
Yeah, I hope
Uh,
so.
besides, I mean, what's your favorite task to perform with eSight?
I think it's stereotypical, but it's shopping. Being able to, from start to finish, being able to call up an Uber, get myself where I want to go independently, being able to identify that the Uber I'm getting into is the right one because I can zoom in and see the license plate, going to a store, shopping, being able to see the price tags, being able to walk around independently. I mean, it's just start to finish. I can accomplish any task I need to without having to wait or ask for someone to take me somewhere.
Again, that's beautiful, and I appreciate sharing that personalized experience and how you use it. I'm just curious, on average, how many hours a day do you use your eSight?
It's pre-COVID, post-COVID. I mean, so it's like pre-COVID, I probably use it multiple hours a day, depending on what I'm doing, what activities I'm doing. During COVID life, I'm home a lot, so I don't have to use it as much in my own home. But in a regular environment, I was using it multiple hours a day. When I was in college, I was probably using it about 6 or 7 hours a day.
That's great. That's great. And with the device being comfortable, not overheating. I mean, these are all the things that go on behind the scene
Right.
to make a device like eSight 4, be successful. So
Yeah, and the hands-free is just like, be having the touchpad, not having to carry anything around with you. It's great. Huge
Yes,
improvement.
absolutely. So it's clear eSight is a big part of your life, and I feel that from our short time together here on this webinar, it's really been able to give you that greater independence
Yes.
and not have to make you worry or concerned about doing certain things. You know that you're empowered. You have your eSight device, a piece of incredible assistive technology that allows you to really do anything that you want, and there's no holding it back.
I mean, I always tell my patients, try it and see. I mean, there's no reason to not try something. Is one of my taglines is, let us show you what we can do. Don't assume what we can't do. So try it out. See what you can do with it.
Absolutely. And again, we have some questions here coming through as far as different, sight loss conditions, and I'm going to try to get through to those questions because we do still have some time left. But I want to go back to you. First of all, Rose, is there anything else that you specifically want to share with our audience today that you think would be important for them to hear from you?
Just something you touched on, that everybody's sight vision is different, and just because you have the same eye condition as someone else, it doesn't mean your acuities are going to be the same. So the beautiful thing about eSight is that you can try it to see if it works for you, and if it does work for you, then move forward. So that would just be my only thing, is to try it and see. Don't base your opinion on somebody else's results that might have the same eye condition.
That's great, and it's a very valid point. You have to, I think, with anything in life, you have to put that foot forward to try something out new. I know that sometimes when people put on devices, it's a new experience.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get used to it and you understand how the device works and what it can provide, then people realize, hey, this is going to be a game changer for my routine tasks that I'm having difficulty with. So
exactly.
Excellent. So we'll continue on, and we're going to keep you here. And of course, feel free to chime in as well. But I want to go back to Brian here for a minute and talk about, advanced technology like eSight and the significant investment.
Yeah, so look, we think about it as accessibility. It is a huge investment for people, whether they decide to buy a wearable, if it's right for them, whether it's a CCTV, whatever technology that fits best for them, it's going to be a significant investment that generally isn't covered by insurance.
Right.
And so for us, we think about how can we impact accessibility. And so some of the things that we've done over the last 10 to 12 months is we are actually covered by an AT&T program. So we have coverage through some AT&T employees, which is a supplemental plan. There are some other Fortune 100 companies that have these supplemental plans that will pay for this technology for their employees and or their beneficiaries. And so we think that's a good step in the right direction.
Oh, you said and beneficiaries.
And beneficiaries.
That's
Absolutely.
Incredible. So
Absolutely.
For example, if your husband or your significant other may work for AT&T or another Fortune 100 company out there that has these advanced plans.
That's right.
That you can receive that benefit from that.
So what happens is they obviously are administered by bigger insurance companies like a United Healthcare, but they get to set the policy. And so eSight was actually added to AT&T's in January of 2020. So it's relatively new for us. The second thing that we've actually started funneling claims with insurance. So we actually had a Blue Cross Blue Shield claim get paid about a month ago now.
Guy, listen, here in the state of Maryland, that is a fact.
That's correct. That's correct. And so for us, there's a couple of different ways we look at it. We believe this technology should be affordable and accessible. Without access to someone to pay for that, a lot of times it's out of reach of a lot of people who could truly benefit from it. And so we really are going after that. We actually have filed with the CMS in the United States to actually get our own code. And so that's something that we worked on about 5 or 6 months. It wasn't an easy task, and it's going to be an uphill battle. But we believe we owe it to this population. We owe it to this community to do everything we possibly can in order to help them get access and have someone else help them pay for that.
That's a huge accomplishment. I mean, we've been hearing the rumblings as far as, individuals being reimbursed. And of course, guys, it's early stages. And everything's on just like with sight loss, different shades, different devices, as far as being able to help you guys out. This is the same situation. It depends on the carrier, it depends on the plan. So there are a lot of, details before it can, be a success for everyone. but the fact that we're making progress, that eSight is leading the way in trying to make a change, to have devices covered by insurance, I think it's monumental. This is groundbreaking, information that we're hearing right now.
For sure. And not only insurance from a reimbursement perspective, there's a lot of these individuals who could actually hold jobs or have jobs. And so there's actually a program we launched at the beginning of COVID called eSight Workplace. And so really we're out talking to these larger companies who have accessibility programs, inclusion programs. A story we heard the other day was someone worries about security. So you've got someone, and nothing against the screen software systems, but as someone's walking by someone's screen that's blown up, the way Zoom text blows
Right.
it up, is there a security issue? Well, the fact that you can bring that screen right to this headset, it takes away some security issues. So there's a lot of things that, I started the conversation with how technology is advancing.
Right.
There's so many things that I think the technology, and not just ours, but just
Right.
technology in general, can help society, can help these individuals. And, there's a study out there by Accenture that says companies that have a more inclusive program, have a more inclusive policy, they're 30% more profitable than companies that don't. And so to us, it's about how do we give the tools
That's what it's
that
about.
these people need. And it starts with creating the technology or the device. And then second of all, how do we get them access to it? And that's really where we're focused with the reimbursement strategy, with workplace. And it also goes to our distribution strategy, right? We don't think we can find these individuals one by one.
Right.
We think we need folks like yourselves. We need other people that are throughout the United States and into Canada that are actually working with these low vision doctors, working with retina specialists that can actually bring the technology to these people where they present. And that's really how we focused on accessibility.
Yeah, and I really like the work, the overall, and you've been hearing from Brian, and we've been sharing everything, all the details about eSight, but I really like the direction that eSight is going in. They've really invested millions and millions of dollars into the technology and into the infrastructure to ensure that these devices are accessible and available to the entire sight loss community. So I think that's it's, hearing this groundbreaking, information that you filed with CMS. I mean, that's, basically in a nutshell, that is a code where it could be billable to your insurance. I think that, again, huge. I haven't heard anyone else in the sight loss community being able to accomplish that just yet. So I think, by you taking that leap of, faith forward and investing the time and resources to make it happen, it's just going to continue to get better and better. So technology is getting better, and the affordability is getting better. And we're hopeful that it's going to, the floodgates will open.
Yeah,
right.
You think about it, we have to start somewhere, right? And while we may not be successful and it may be an uphill battle, if we don't start, we never know what we can accomplish.
Right.
And so to us, it was about, we had to put the stake in the ground. It's also about advocacy, because technology has advanced.
Right.
Maybe people haven't seen what technology can do as it relates to sight loss. And we all know the demographics
Right.
around sight loss, and it's not getting lower.
No, unfortunately, it's increasing daily.
It's only growing. And so there's going to come a time, and especially in the United States, where they're going to have to solve this issue. And for us, there's so many mental and health aspects to having someone have technology that can help them in their day-to-day lives that I think we had to start the process. And that's what you're seeing today.
Yeah, I love it. And by the way, many of you out there, if you've ever reached out or you've ever inquired or, started doing a little homework, little window shopping, the number one question that always comes back is, are the devices covered by insurance? That's really the number one question that comes back every day. So that's what my colleagues, that's what I hear. I listen to some of the recordings and some of the conversations from a customer service standpoint, and that is the number one question. So I am happy that things are moving along. I want to stress it's a slow and steady wins the race progress. So I don't want anyone to think that it's going to flip that light switch and it's going to happen instantaneously, but it is moving along. And like you said, you can come out here to our showroom. You can come out here if you're in the Baltimore area. We would love to see you. Schedule an appointment for a complimentary eSight demonstration. We would love to show you what the technology can do for you specifically, how it could impact your life, and how it can make a change. So super important. Again, if you want, we have complimentary demonstrations. What you can do is you can go online to the lowvisionshop.com And we have options. If you scroll down on the homepage, we do have options for a virtual consultation or an actual in-house consultation. Whatever is better for you, whatever you're comfortable with today, given the current situation, we can do virtual consultations, work with you on a one-on-one basis, and see what's right and how we can help you out. So again, if you feel up to it, come in, get a feel for the technology, and see if it's right for you.
Barry, I did want to add one
Sure.
thing. The product is covered by the VA, so it is
Okay.
on the federal supply schedule. eSight 3 was also on it, and we were very quickly able to add eSight 4. So if you're a veteran, you're enrolled in the vision benefit side, that's another avenue that folks that they are covering the device. So
That is great. I know the VA has been, just talking about the VA in itself, the VA has been working, really hard to bring a lot of these devices under their umbrella to provide options for the veterans. So we're very grateful for that. So I think we can go ahead and start looking at some of the questions. If you don't, everyone, I'm going to go here and read here some of the questions that were submitted. So this came in from Judith. The question was, what's the highest level of magnification on eSight 4? And I know we've touched on this, but let's go ahead and just, answer that again.
yeah, it's 24 times zoom on the magnification.
Very powerful, 24x magnification. Remember, you have the ability to go into the reading modes, adjust the contrast. So again, throughout each mode, the user has the ability to go up to 24x.
That's correct.
Next question came from Nancy. Can eSight be used for close-up and far vision? So
it absolutely can. And Rosa actually alluded to a far off opportunity where you're watching a sporting event, you're watching a concert, you're just looking at flowers in your garden, right? Even through maybe a window from your house. And then there's also the ability to read with the technology. So you alluded to the different scenes that we have, or the different modes that we have.
Right.
We've got presets where it's reading mode, and it obviously makes the system more conducive to reading. You've got an outdoor mode, which obviously takes into account some of the contrast, the lights and the exposures and different things. And so the device is both far and near, and it's got features on it. It's like your phone, right? It probably does 1,000 different things,
right.
But we've tried to simplify it, because part of the issue is, if we give you something that does a lot of things and you don't know how to use it, you're going to put it in your drawer.
Correct. And
right?
we don't want that.
And
we don't want that.
And so it doesn't do us good. It doesn't do you any good. And so what we've tried to do is simplify things that we know people are using. And there's a lot of things yet to do here, to where, the craze today is smart AI, right?
Right.
When you walk out and your system recognizes how you use your system. This software system that's on this device is very robust. There's a lot of things it can do. It's also got the ability, it's connected via the cloud. So any update we have on the device, we can push to it. But we want to make it as easy in both that near and that far opportunity.
Excellent. So I know we talked about batteries again, but let's just go ahead and reiterate. Battery lasts about 2.5 hours per battery.
2 to 3 hours per battery.
Again, it all depends on how much you are using it.
Right.
If someone's not using it, they have it on their headset, will the device go into a standby mode?
It will go into a standby mode, which you can just hit the power button to bring it back out of sleep mode.
Okay.
It's got an internal battery as well.
Right.
So that's what allows us to hot swap the batteries. So it's got an internal battery that'll last about 12 hours with no extra, or 12 minutes with no external battery. As I think we were talking about.
I know. It's one of my favorite features. I'm fully charged in my battery.
You shake it and it tells you 4 green lights. It tells you what the charge level is. If it's red, it's out.
That's awesome.
The battery goes either way, so you don't have to worry about, do I got it the right way? So there's been a lot of thought put into it, and a lot of this came from the user acceptance testing that we did before we launched the product.
I like that. You don't have to worry, am I putting it the right side, left side, plus or minus. You just put it in any way and it's going to go. Just don't put it upside down. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, before I go to the actual checker, there are a bunch of questions here. Before we go to that, we have a few more minutes. Let's talk about success rates again. And I know it varies by condition, but let's talk about specifically with individuals with central sight loss, like macular degeneration, Stargardt's disease, and other sight loss conditions.
Yeah, for us, the two of the bigger ones from a central vision, macular degeneration, it's about 7 out of 10 is what we found. 7 out of 10 can benefit from it. It does have to do with that visual acuity and that field of view. As it relates to Stargardt's, we actually work in about 8 out of 10. But then if you drop down to say diabetic retinopathy, you're probably in that 65%. So it does vary. And I think that's the important part of come try it on, right?
Right.
Find a way to get access to be able to try it, because if just because we have, just because you might be one of the three, but
Right.
it might work for you.
Right.
And so we would hate for you not to have the ability to do that. And that's part of our distribution network and the things that we're trying to build is we want people to have avenues to be able to do that, whether that's in their home or whether that's in a showroom like this, or in a doctor's office, quite honestly.
Absolutely.
You know, we actually have these devices in doctor's offices. We're adding more and more of them that people can come in to take a look at them. So we have found that certain ones, but we also don't have thousands and thousands of 10,000s of wearers either, right? So these wearables are a relatively new technology. So we may actually find more. Now, you know, kind of the next stages, if you think about it, is can the system actually be adjusted to help a macular degeneration patient versus a Stargardt patient versus diabetic retinopathy? I think we're a ways away from that, quite honestly. But that's more prescriptive type things that the technology we know can do.
Right.
It's just, is it important? Will it take that 70% and make it 90%? That's what we don't know.
Right.
Yet.
But the device has so much flexibility. Again, this is my personal opinion from today with the technology, that you don't need to have that specifically customized for, let's say, maybe macular degeneration, because the flexibility that the device has right now, you are able to make those adjustments on the fly.
Right.
And so you are basically creating the experience based on your specific sight loss. So let me go ahead and read some of the questions here. The question comes from Carl. Any experience with sight loss due to PXE? If you're not familiar with, are you familiar with PXE? So I have some experience with individuals who are living with PXE. I know that there are some similar situations, like it mimics a little bit as far as macular degeneration. It's mostly primarily with central sight loss. Again, everything's on a case-by-case basis, but from what I've seen in my previous experience, individuals with PXE, we can definitely provide assistance, and an eSight would potentially be a good device for individuals living with PXE. So again, you can reach out to us. You have any questions, you want to talk to us one-on-one, you can schedule that complimentary time through the lowvisionshop.com. We're happy to go ahead and discuss that on an individual basis. The next question, what type of battery does the unit use? We've discussed that. We've talked about some of the specs. And the individual wants to know if they're EMF emitted from the battery.
Well, it's a lithium ion battery
to
start with. And so that's the type of battery it is. It's obviously a rechargeable. It's about 3.6 volts. I'm not aware of anything being emitted from it. I think there was a question earlier about does the battery heat up? No, the battery does not heat up. Obviously, there are heat sinks in the front where there's screens and stuff, but the battery does not heat up. As far as emitting a frequency of some sort, I think all batteries may. I haven't had anyone say it interferes with anything.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I've had that users ask that question from time to time. So thank you. That question came from Terry. Thank you for that. Another question from Constantine. Will I be able to use eSight with only one eye? And the answer is yes.
Correct.
Absolutely.
You have the ability to turn whichever screen off. So it's got two screens. You can go in and turn the left or right off, whichever one you don't need. Obviously, if you turn a screen off, it helps with battery life as well, right? You're only powering one screen. So what we didn't really talk about it, but the screens do move based upon pupillary distances. And so we need to get it corrected to yours. But if you end up only needing one screen, you can turn one of those off and it works just the same.
Excellent. Thank you, Constantine. Great questions. Another question here again from Terry, as far as insurance coverage, does an individual need to have a prescription from an ophthalmologist or maybe a low vision specialist?
Yeah, so in order to get products through the healthcare system in the United States, and we believe this falls into durable medical equipment, and we've actually contracted with 3 companies that actually go off and contract with manufacturers who are not in network yet with payers.
Okay.
And so we've signed 3 of those contracts with them. They're more repricing PPO type agreements. And so they've listed us under their E codes, which is a DME code. Yes, you have to have a prescription in order to actually file a claim for that. Does it have to be an ophthalmologist, which is the MD level?
Right.
We've seen and we've submitted claims with an optometrist, which is the OD level.
Mm-hmm.
We've submitted both. we got a feeling if we are allocated a code, there'll be some discussions on who can actually prescribe the technology. But now we do need one from either one to submit the claim.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. We do have another question here from Christian. The question is as follows, and I'm just reading here for the first time. Can you explain how the eSight would help someone with macular degeneration since the person experienced a black dot, right, obviously a scotoma in the central area of the vision? And how do you compensate for this? So I think a very good question.
Yeah, so this is kind of the
magic.
nuts of how it works, right? This is the
Right.
nuts of how it works, or the nuts and bolts of how it works. So it's the system, the software system, and the algorithms on board the software system. Basically what it's doing, it's taking that image
Right.
that the camera is picking up, it's enhancing it and really making it more viable or more visible in the healthy parts of the eye. So think of it as it's almost taking that image and it's moving it away from that black spot in your eye, and it almost tricks the brain
Right.
to fill in the gaps so that you can see, and you no longer have a black hole, if you will. And so that's kind of the magic sauce within the software, within the algorithms. And really it's more focusing that image on the healthy part of your eye in magnification and in contrast, in color contrast. That's really how it works.
Very good question. Thank you for asking that question. I'm happy we were able to clarify that as well. So we're just about out of time here, our scheduled time for 12:45. I want to thank Brian again for coming out. And before I say our goodbyes, is there anything else that you want to share? Or even Rosa, is there anything else that you want to share with everyone out there today who's considering an eSight?
No, I just want to say thank you again for having us. You never know if the product is the right product for you. You need to try them on. You need to try all the products on. I mean, I had a 10-year-old kid come into the office about 2 months ago, and the parents didn't know what was happening. And we let him try it on. We let him take it with him. We let him experience the product. Because at the end of the day, we just want a product that helps someone.
That's right.
If that's eSights, that's great, right? But if it's something else, that's also fine.
Right.
But it's all about accessibility. And so I would say, don't let the statistics define whether you want to try something. Go find someone, go try to find something and get what works for you.
A very true point. And I just want to say, if anyone out there, there are so many options available today for individuals with sight loss. Again, for all spectrums of sight loss, I would say there's just about an option for every type of sight loss condition, even 100% blindness. So I do want to stress that. If you're here today, that's great. You're watching this video. It's great. You're obviously taking that initiative. You want to hear more. You want to learn more. And there are options out there. That is such an important message. Rosa, any last words from you?
Just to echo what Brian said, that everybody's eye condition's different, and just try it, because I didn't think it was going to work for me, because I've had that whole amp myself up and then try something and it doesn't work, and this one did. So try it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rosa, for being here today and participating. We appreciate it. And again, if anyone needs more information about eSight 4, you can go to thelowvisionshop.com/eSight, spelled ESIGHT. That's thelowvisionshop.com/eSight. Again, we have the option to schedule complimentary virtual consultations. You can set up complimentary on-site actual demonstrations. We are here to provide you with information and find a solution that's right for you. And I always say there's 2 checks that have to be checked off here when someone comes in or we're dispensing a device. 1, it has to actually help out the individual. And number 2, it actually has to fit their lifestyle. So many different variations. You know what might work best for you. We're here to happy to work with you. And we want to provide you with that extra assistance. So thank you again, Brian. Thank you to the entire eSight team. Guys, I want to tell you, incredible team out there from eSight working day and night. And we look forward to the next webinar and sharing more information as far as what's to come as far as eSight in the future. I'm sure there's stuff in development, but probably can't say. And we look forward to seeing what has to come. So wish everyone good health. Saying so long from Baltimore. And we'll see you on the next webinar.
See you later.
Take care. Thank you.